Welcome back, year 5. Let's talk about flower production, okay? After germination of the seed and changing the seed into seedling, the seedling grows into an adult plant that carry different parts of the plant like leaves and flowers. Flowers that contain plant male and female reproductive organs known as perfect flower or typical flower. So we classified flowers into two types, perfect flower or imperfect flower. Perfect flower is known as typical flower. The flowers that contain male and female reproductive organs on the same flower. While imperfect flower, okay, the flower that contain only one reproductive organ, okay, may contain male reproductive organ or may contain female reproductive organ, okay? So we should to know the structure of the flower in details. Look at this flower known as typical flower, okay? By studying the shape of the flower, we note that it contains two reproductive organs, okay? Male reproductive organ and female reproductive organ, okay? The male reproductive organ of the plant or of the flower known as a stamen, okay? Again, the male reproductive organ of the plant known as a stamen, okay? This is the shape of the stamen. The stamen composed of three parts. Number 1, filament. Number 2, anther. And number 3, pollen grain, okay? Again, filament, anther, this is part known as anther, and inside anther there are pollen grains. The female reproductive organ of the flower known as carpel or pistil, okay? And it consists of three parts. Stigma, this is part known as a stigma, and after stigma we have a style, and this is a swollen part known as ovary that contain ovules or ova, okay? So the male organ, which you call the stamen consists of filament, anther, okay, and pollen grains, okay? Look at this anther, this is filament, and inside anther there are powder known as pollen grains, okay? The filament is a thin stalk that support the anther, okay? And the anther carry pollen grains, a room that containing pollen grains of the flower. The pollen grains are considered powdery substances that contain the male reproductive parts or male reproductive cells, okay? Look at this as flower, okay? The green leaves known as calyx, okay? The colored leaves known as corolla. This is part known as a stamen that composed of filament, anther, and the pollen grain, and this is part found in the middle of the flower known as carpel or pistil, okay, which is considered a female reproductive organ, okay? So again, filament is a stalk, okay, that support the anther, okay? Number 2, anther carries pollen grains. Pollen grains, powdery substances, contain the male reproductive cell. Okay, this is a real image for the stamen of some flowers, okay? The image, this is a diagram for perfect flower and stamen, okay? But this image is a real image for the stamen. The second part, which is known as carpel or stigma, carpel or pistil. Carpel or pistil is a female organ, a female reproductive organ in flowering plant, okay? Carpel composed of stigma, style, ovary, okay, and ovule. Again, pistil or carpel composed of stigma, this is known as a stigma, okay, and this is known as style, the swollen part known as ovary, and the ovary contain ovules. This is a structure of the carpel. So the carpel, the stigma, it's covered with sticky substances that allow the pollen grains to stick on it, and this is part which known as a style raises the stigma to increase the chances of pollination. And after style we have a swollen part known as ovary that contains and protects the ovules. Okay, the last part, ovule, that contain the female reproductive cell, which is called egg. Again, stigma, this is a stigma. Okay, stigma containing sticky substances to adhere or to allow the pollen grain adhere on it or stick on it. Okay, style raises the stigma, raises the carpel to increase the chance of pollination. Ovary protect ovules, okay, and ovules contain female reproductive cell which known as egg. Okay, this is real image for carpel, okay, that's surrounded by stem. This is diagram compare between structure of the stamen and the structure of the carpel, okay, or this is diagram compare between male reproductive organ and female reproductive organ. And the last diagram show the perfect flower. What's meant by perfect flowers? Flowers that contain both male and female organs, okay. But imperfect flower, like this flower and this flower, the flowers that have only one reproductive organ. This is flower contain female reproductive organ only, and this is flower contain male reproductive organs only. Okay, thank you. Year 5, and goodbye.